Bodmin Jail in Cornwall is one of the most haunted places in England, and I should know as I have visited this building on 2 occasions. It's an extremely strange sensation, and I honestly don't know how to describe it properly, but there is an energy in that place. It's like I could feel the presence of those who were there all those years ago, particularly the ones who were executed in the hanging shed. A total of 55 executions took place in this jail over the course of the 150 years that it was in service. The very last hanging was that of William Hampton in 1909, who is believed to have been recorded still walking the rooms and corridors of the prison. So why don't we explore the story of William Hampton and the haunting of Bodmin Jail? Just a few months ago, in June of this year, I stayed in Cornwall for a holiday. Me and my family love it there as it gets pretty much the best weather that the UK has in the summertime. Anyways, the last time we stayed here, me and my mum visited Bodmin Jail as we hadn't been there before, and we are both fascinated with the more macabre side of life. We decided that we wanted to go again as we loved it so much the first time round. This time was different though. I got to talking to one of the guides who was so knowledgeable about the history and seemed fairly open-minded. I began to discuss the idea of stone tape theory with her and whether or not the materials that the prison were made out of acted as a recording medium for all the events that took place inside. She didn't know much about the subject of stone tape, but nonetheless we discussed much about the executions and how the majority of them were conducted in public. The crowds that would gather often turned violent, many of them being drunk and disorderly. However, this would change thanks to Queen Victoria, who sent orders to Lord Aberdare and his committee in 1886. After 2 years, his committee published its findings into executions and made recommendations which led to the development of so-called hanging sheds. Prisoners were now executed inside the prison walls, giving everyone involved, including the victims' families, dignity and privacy when justice was finally brought to bear in the final moments of the criminals' lives. So, who was William Hampton, and what crime did he commit? Well, murder in the first degree. He was convicted of the murder of his young girlfriend Emily Tredear on the 2nd of May 1909, who was just 16 at the time of her death. Her younger brother was the sole witness and gave detailed descriptions to the authorities of the murder. At just 9 years old, he witnessed Hampton kneeling on Emily with one knee, with his thumbs crushing her throat, which ultimately led to her suffocation. It is believed that Hampton killed her in a fit of rage when she told him that she no longer wanted to date him and called off their engagement. The jury was said to have been asked to show mercy on Hampton as he was of good character and that this type of thing was not in his nature usually. However, the death sentence was handed down by the judge as he said that the law must take its course and that death was the rightful punishment for someone who has taken another person's life. Tony Ferguson, a man who claims he can communicate with the other side, says an apparition in the film he recorded at the former prison is that of William Hampton. Tony and his wife took their equipment with them to the jail and made sure they were the only visitors in the famous attraction. They say they captured many paranormal incidents, including faint voices, strange electronic voice phenomena, and light orbs flying around the rooms. My gut reaction regarding the apparition is that it is a recording of the past. The prison would have been the perfect place for stone tape to take effect. It makes total sense to me now why I felt the way I did there. all that energy being stored into the very fabric of the building, which gets released and is then replayed as sounds and or voices. These so-called recordings can even take full manifestation, hence we see ghosts or apparitions, but what we are really seeing is just a memory. I'm not saying that stone tape is the answer to all the weird things that happen in this jail, and it doesn't account for other types of hauntings like poltergeists. Also, let's not forget that executed prisoners were usually buried within the grounds of their respective prisons. This is perhaps another reason why Bodmin Jail feels so eerie and why spooky things take place here. I hope this week's episode of Strangeries was totally spooktacular. It's almost Halloween, so I had to produce a video dedicated to the paranormal side of life. There'll be another spooky one next Sunday, and I'll also be releasing another video on Wednesday the 31st of October as a special episode for Halloween. Thanks for watching.